Kate Lord-Brennan, Minister for the Cabinet Office.
So next week we've got a bill that's going to come forward from the government, which is aimed at sort of resolving some of the issues around gas on the island.
Yes, so for a while now, Council of Ministers has been watching with concern. Obviously, there's been public concern as well about the sort of nature and level of disconnections by the public gas supplier, Isle of Man Energy. And so at the House of Keys sitting next week, on behalf of Council of Ministers, I'll be asking the House of Keys to support a bill to allow Council of Ministers to, by way of making an order, put some provision around the circumstances where a public gas supplier cannot disconnect customers. This isn't about just allowing people to not have to pay their bills, make that 100% clear. But the fact is that there does seem to be a bit of a gap between the level of protection afforded to consumers on the Isle of Man versus elsewhere. And that's what we're very keen to seek to address next week in the House of Keys, and we hope that people will support that.
So obviously with that, I mean, all summer it seems and all into the winter we've heard stories from different people about, you know, they've paid or they haven't paid or there's been no bill and they've been disconnected. How has that been filtering through to government? Because obviously there is a criticism on the island of, rightly or wrongly, the government doesn't listen. How has that been filtering into yourselves, which has led to this?
Well, I think certainly as MHKs, we've all got our own experiences where we're hearing directly from constituents of circumstances around dealing, as you've said, about the ability to pay bills, not just for financial reasons, but actually the practicalities of doing so. And then we're hearing many different stories around customers being disconnected on that basis, which is obviously concerning. It's come out to the Office of Fair Trading that they've obviously been monitoring and trying to help people and help them put in place some financial plans to address repayments and things like that. So essentially it is us listening as MHKs, and also the Council of Ministers taking a specific interest, which is why Cabinet Office has developed this legislation. This
isn't a problem exclusive to the Isle of Man. Your colleagues in Jersey have had similar issues with the group as a whole. Has there been any talk between governments on the islands?
No, but what we have been doing is looking to see what other consumer protections are afforded elsewhere. So, for example, in the UK, energy suppliers who have a licence under Ofgem, there is provision around not being allowed to disconnect groups of customers who perhaps may be classed as vulnerable, perhaps those who are of pensionable age, perhaps those that are living, with them. People under 18, or have got other certain circumstances around that. In Ireland, recently, they've taken a much more broad approach. So whilst Council of Ministers will have to determine the circumstances where we say actually it's not fine to disconnect, notwithstanding non-payment of bills, there's certainly lots of other points of reference elsewhere where actually, to protect people, to afford a better level of consumer protection, and hopefully Isle of Man Energy, they've given some commitments already. They've introduced a vulnerable customer policy. They've said that they won't be applying disconnections. I think now they've stated this until mid-Jan or something like that. But actually, we think as a government there needs to be better protection, and that's what we're seeking to legislate for. So we'll be looking around, seeing what fits best for the Isle of Man.
And obviously, this is last week before Christmas. This is going to appear in House of Keys. How soon can we expect to see this try and progress through the branches?
Well, if we get enough support in the House of Keys from MHKs, and I think there is a lot of will from House of Keys members more generally, just to see some improvements in this area and try and help people, then I will be asking the House of Keys to support the passage of that bill in one sitting. If that's successful, then we'll be able to progress to the Legislative Council on the same day. If that happens, then Council of Ministers will be in a position to be able to take the next step in making an order around this area, which hopefully it would only be a backstop, and it's quite a short bill, and I hope it finds favour with House of Keys so we can better protect people.